Hello Aquarius, Amanda here. Welcome to Unseen Hands Healing. This is going to be your small story reading. So these are different from the big monthly shift readings. They're a smaller glimpse into what might be going on in your life a little more specifically. And going along with small stories, I choose a book off of the shelf that seems to be speaking to your energy. And then I choose a random passage to read for you. And then from there, we'll pull cards to elaborate on this story. All right, so here we go. Frida wanted to speak to you today, which I love. Frida, An Open Life, this really beautiful account that is a collection of many of her letters, essentially, in her journal entries. And there's a few passages I want to read for you, all right? Because I think collectively they make up some picture of what needs to be communicated to you through this at this time. So here we go. This is her after her injury. All right, so most of you probably know she was in a terrible accident that created incredible injuries to her pelvis and spine, and she was bedridden for much of her life as a result of that, and painted a ton from her bed and created a lot of art through that pain. So here we go. This is her voice, by the way, her writing. My student friends in the preparatory school came to ask for me and bring me flowers and try to distract me. They were the ones in a group of boys whose only female member was myself. One of them gave me a doll I still have. I kept that doll and many other things because I love things, life, and people a great deal, and I don't want people to die. I'm not afraid of death, but I want to live. It's pain I really can't stand. And then over here, jumping over to another passage. It's from 1925, by the way. October 13th, 1925. You more than anyone, this is a letter she wrote from the hospital. You more than anyone must know how sad it's been in this filthy hospital. You can imagine it, and besides, the boys must have told you. They all say I'm not so hopeless, but they don't know what 3 months of staying in bed, which is where I have to be, means to me, having been a first-class gadabout all my life. But what can a person do? They don't even let me die, right? And she draws a skull. Then later in December, the only good thing about me is I'm beginning to get used to suffering. Another little passage. You have to tell me something new, because I was really born to be a flower pot never leaving the porch. I'm bored. Okay, it says I'm buten bored, which apparently means overmuch, incredibly, excessively bored. One last thing I want to show you. This is a little passage about her self-portraits, and then I'll show you this photo of her. An extraordinary portrait painter, the series of her self-portraits is an admirable example of intense expression, but never repeated in the same aspect. The drawings and paintings, one after the other, of her melancholy oval face with its meeting eyebrows, its great shock of dark hair, its aggressively sensual lips, alert glance, high forehead, and nearly virile shape. Their entirety, as possibly no other work of art in the whole world, praises the human condition of being oneself and yet always different, identical, and changing. I just want to show her to you. So there's something here, Aquarius, that's really sticking out to me about creating art through this pain. You know, I think it's really something to do with this idea of I was really born to be a flower pot, never leaving the porch. You know, it's like this really there's real melancholy here, and also a lot of self-awareness and humor in the midst of what appears to be a feeling of being trapped. This picture of you, Aquarius, as this beautiful flower that is like pot bound to the porch is, I think, the key. While also like being so full of life and so full of vitality. You know, that passage, like, I love things and I love people and I love all of this beauty, and I don't want anyone to die, and I just don't want to be in pain. There's something about that. All right, let's get to some cards. A couple shuffles of this slow hollered deck for you here. Okay, Aquarius, what's the story? Elaborate on Frida. Okay, interesting. What is this, Aquarius? There is real pain going on here. And you are, you know, somehow there's this like feeling of being housebound with the Hermit, or isolated in some way. And then you're surrounded by two knives, the Queen and the Knight of Swords. In this deck, it's the Visionary and the Traveler. Okay. Traveler. That's what's wanting to come through. It's like you want to move and move quickly, right? The Knight of Swords is like quick moving energy. Like quick revelations. Your mental energy, I mean, gosh, air sign, hello. We've got all this swords energy. Your mental energy is so sharp and so acute. Look at this Queen, how she's just like blooming. There's this incredible deep vitality, like, you know, lifeblood, sexuality, beauty, art, all of these things just like really blooming up here right next to death, right next to the skull. So there's this like real dichotomy of death and rebirth, all happening up in the mind though. It's all up in the mind. It's like you have these really acute visions. You can see it really, really clearly. And there's this intensity, this ferocity to your approach to life. You know, the owl is here. The owl is about wisdom and sight. The owl can see in the dark. Not many creatures can. You know, the owl can hunt at night because it can see better than anybody else at that time. This is a creature driven by the moon. Awake at other times when most people are not. Awake in ways that most people are not. That's what wants to come. Awake in ways most people are not, and because of that, you're able to see things many people can't see. Like the beauty in death. There's a real heavy intensity here with this vision, the things that you're able to see. I don't know, that's what keeps wanting to come through. Seeing through the darkness, and you know, the Hermit, there's this like sense of aloneness, isolation, this sense of solo journeying, and again, like seeing through the darkness. We've got this tiny little flame illuminating the darkness of this inner experience, this inner world, very, very sort of insulated. You know, the plant being root bound, you know, bound to the pot, which is bound to the porch. Something about that here. Especially with all these mountains in the distance. It's like you're aware of what the earth has to offer outside of your membrane. But for some reason you have to be in this membrane right now, or you're in this membrane. And it could be because you're doing some healing work. There's this Traveler of Knives. I love that, you know, again, you're wanting to move very fast, but for some reason something is binding you. I'm getting the heaviness of this metal chain that runs between the base of the brain through the mouth, stopping the mouth. Right? Stopping the mouth, biting the tongue, having to bite the tongue. I'm getting weird shit for you today. Shocking. And then it comes down and connects to this heart, which is like stabbed through. Its case recently cracked open. So perhaps there's some like real, and you know, Frida's whole account is about her pain. You know, like, I'm not afraid of death, I just hate this pain. That's what I'm seeing here. There's some sort of pain going on in the heart space. Recently cracked open, but because of that, like, the pain is really, really present. And it's somehow linked to you not being able to move as fast as you want to, or speak in the way that you want to, like speak your truth in the way you want to, because there's some sort of the channel between the head and the heart. It's like this, I'm feeling this back and forth energy, like, do I do that? No, my heart, stop doing that, heart. Oh, you're wounded. And oh, my head, you know, it's like I'm either in my head or I'm in my heart, and there's doesn't seem to be a space where I can coexist in the two at the same time. It's either I'm all in my head or I'm all in my heart, and it's such a difficult experience. A really rich and alive experience, but a difficult one. Not an easy one to navigate. Biting the tongue. My mouth is stopped. There's something stopping you from, okay, I'm seeing the message in the bottle. Again, there's like a corked up message. Something corked up. Sending it on away on the ocean. The emotional, intuitive carrier, hoping it gets to where it's trying to go, because you're root bound. Really, really interesting, Aquarius. Okay, so if this is resonating with you so far and you want to dig deeper with me, I just saw 1333, by the way. Creativity. Threes come through for you all the time on this channel. It's kind of cool. Okay, so if you would like to follow me over to the extended, where we now will open up this reading and unpack everything. I want to know, what on earth is this hermit mode that you're in? Why are you in it? How does it feel to be in it? I want to know, what is this like need to take action and move and travel and like maybe like speak out, expand through speaking your truth or delivering some sort of message? Like, what is this head in the heart thing? And then, you know, the visionary of knives, like, there's something here about restriction. You know, the Queen of Swords does bring a bit of restriction, because she brings in this like alignment with truth in such a way that asks us to be really in tune with our boundaries and the boundaries of others. And so there's something here about restriction, and I want to really unpack that and see why you're being restricted at this time, what's restricting you. And if there's any way to sort of expand that membrane, or even like reach through it entirely. really interesting. So if this is resonating with you so far and you want to dive into this with me, there will be a little clip at the end of this reading. You can preview that extended, and if it is absolutely resonating with you, click the link below. That'll take you to Vimeo where you can purchase it instantly, okay? For those of you who have not seen your November shift readings, now is a great time to do that as we approach the end of the month. All right, so that'll be, you can search that in the channel, or it'll be linked for you up above. All right, Aquarius, thank you so much for taking the time and being here with me, and I wish you all the best. Eye-opening. You know, this like spiritual, this like awakening energy to something, like the eye opens and you can't unsee it. You know, once you see it, it's like you can't unsee it. The eye opens, the monster awakens, the beast awakens. And now this, it's almost like this eye is like hopelessly open. I'm actually seeing so much pain because you can't close that eye. Once it's open, you can't close it. And so there's just this like, you can't unsee it's like the flower doesn't know doesn't know that it could be like flying wild out in the world. And then one day it awakens to the fact that it's actually like root bound in this pot on this porch. And it's sort of this Truman Show moment of like real grief of like, oh my God, my whole life I've been bound to this porch. That's what I'm seeing. Because again, I'm seeing the mountains and I'm seeing like the whole earth that you could like go explore. This wolf, and there's this other wolf being sort of lifted away. Wow, I just got another image of this. Really interesting. It's twofold for you. It's like damned if you do, damned if you don't, because you don't want to lose what you have. You don't want to be separated from your current happiness, but not speaking this truth, and it's like weighing very heavily on you. And the role that you're playing suddenly being very palpable, and like you sort of suffering behind this. It's like grief either way, because if you continue to stay behind here, then you're like having to mourn a part of yourself.